Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with Jim Misiura. I recently got a request to tie a cow dung dry fly. Actually, I got a request for a cow dung. I have a cow dung wet fly, so I'm going to tie a cow dung dry fly. The hook that I have in the vise, this is a Hemingway's dry fly hook, size 12. It is an H123. This is a barbless hook. Very nice, very sharp hooks. I'm going to use Hemingway thread, and this is rusty brown 8/0. And this 8/0 is really, I tell you, it's about the size of a 10 or 12/0 Vivus. I had the request for an orange cow dung, but I don't really have orange, so it's just easy enough to, if you get yourself some dyed orange Peacock Herl, you can make that orange cow dung. You don't want to color too sharp though. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this base thread. You don't want to color an orange too bright. Basically, a Griffith's gnat, you can tie a Griffith's gnat style to match so many different hatches and insects, whether terrestrial or waterborne insects. You can make a Griffith's gnat to match so many of them. I mean, just comes to mind, I have a sulfur gnat, which is excellent on a sulfur hatch. I use the crackleback, which is a good fly. So many different kinds. But this one, this cow dung, I'm going to make, this is a yellow dyed Peacock Herl, or Peacock Eye. And I also have a olive dyed Peacock Eye. And I'm going to take like 2 strands of each color. And since the olive or the yellow that I'm using is much smaller, I'm actually going to take a couple extra strands of the olive. Maybe use 4 of the olive. I got 4 of the olive and 2 of the yellow. And I'm going to tie them in by the tips, and because the olive is so much longer, I'm going to trim them to size. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the tips. And we're going to go ahead and tie them in. We're going to tie them in with the tag ends being the length of the shank, or the length of the body. I'm tying this size 12 because it's much easier to demonstrate on a larger hook. I will use this though. Now the hackle, I'm going to use a natural grizzly, and again on this you can use different colored grizzlies, you know, to more represent the actual fly that's in your area. This is a size 12 hackle. It actually might be a little bit larger, but I'm going to use this anyway. And I'm going to stand them up. I'm going to trim that off, and I'm going to give it the crew cut. Just snip those barbels close on each side of the shank. And now when I tie it in, if you watch a lot of my videos, when I tie in hackle, I usually tie it in so I can see 1 or 2 of the barbs on the back side so that my first wrap won't shoot to the back. Well, with this one we want a tail, so we're going to tie it so that we do get a couple of barbels shooting off to the back. So I'm going to tie in on top of a few of those long barbels. But still, that crew cut is still a valuable thing because it's going to hold that, the thread is going to hold that better in those crew cut, those little stubby pieces of barbel. Now I'm going to put some head cement on the hook shank, and you should really do this with a lot of with any kind of grip it's not. It just helps to ensure that they're not going to go and not going to get bitten or beat up so quickly on the with the fish's mouth or the teeth. So I gave it a couple of wraps, put it on, and I'm going to counter wrap this. And the reason we're using the Peacock Herl is because we want that fuzzy body in there. You can see how that Herl is making that fuzz there. And I don't have a yellow, it's kind of a goldish with the combination of the olive and yellow. I'm going to bring that right up, and we're going to tie that off there. Make a tight wrap, actually a couple of tight wraps there, a couple of wraps in front, go over it, got all these wild ones here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, just make it a little bit easier. There we go. Go in front, a few wraps, and secure that. Go ahead and trim that off nice and close. Now we've got that counter wrapped, so now we're going to take the hackle and we're going to wrap that the normal way, which would be counter to the wrap of the Herl. But as we go, we're going to get some hackles off the tail to form that tail. And then we're going to go ahead and palmer this forward. And I'm actually putting in more wraps than I normally would with a Griffith's knot. With a Griffith's knot on a hook this size, a size 12, I would take 4 to 4.5 wraps to get up to the top. My Griffith's knots, I like to keep them sparse. I'm going to trim that, and that just keeps a few extra barbels from going forward and getting tied in. Form the head. Got that rusty brown head on there. And again, like I said, you can use a Griffith's knot to match just about anything. And when you're doing that, in the same sense, you don't necessarily need to use Peacock Herl for the body on all of them. If you want a nice skinny body, you can use a nice skinny dubbing noodle. If you want to still achieve the fuzzy look, you can go ahead and use a turkey biot. Here's a big orange one. Go ahead and use a turkey biot, 1 or 2 of them, to make the body with. And I did actually make one with this, but it's way too orange for me. I'm going to put a little bit more head cement on there. And here we have the cow dung. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.